So Brian has been a loyal supporter of PowerHouse Smart since our onset 15 years ago, and I'm thrilled to have him give us the insight on what's happening in real estate today. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hey, Gene. So I feel very honored to be able to talk with you today. I'll try to be brief. If you can I have your attention for 10 minutes, I hopefully give you some real good insights of what's kind of going on this year and next year economically. And it's so coincidental, there's a head of the Federal Reserve was actually speaking this morning about when I was watching TV this morning to figure out what was going on and testify in front of Senate. So kind of a interesting, a little bit of a sleeper, but kind of interesting at the same time. So I will try to talk fast. My presentation is available if you just email me or text me. We'll go ahead and send it off to you if you're interested to share with people. So I'm going to start with, well, there's me. Inflation, right? That is the huge topic that everyone's been talking about for the last, oh gosh, at least 6 months or more. And if you fill up your gas, if you still have a gas-powered car, you understand inflation when you put your credit card in there to pay for your gas, or if you're building a house and you look at budgets and you see how much your project has gone up in costs from what you planned. So when I'm talking to people about financing, I ask them what they think it's going to cost, and I usually add 20 or 25% just to be safe when I talk to the builder or developer. So, you know, consumers, it's running about 7.5% a year. So ideally, the target is somewhere in that 2%, 2.5%. So we're at least 3 times the ideal number for the consumers. And in certain instances, it's way higher than that. So if you see certain products, food, housing, it's actually running quite a bit above that. And then for businesses, it's running about 10.5% right now, which is incredibly high. It's the highest since 1982, so 40 years ago. So some of you are not even remember or around in 1982. So, but it was an interesting time at that point, those that you do remember that. So why is this happening? We all know about the supply chain constraints that are out there right now. People tell me about their projects where, I'll give you an example. So my sister ordered windows, right? We ordered the windows last May, okay? So they said they'd be delivered in September. They called us in September, say plan on January. They called us in January and said, well, we don't know. We have most of the stuff in, we don't have everything in, we don't have the sliders in. So they finally scheduled it for March 18th. So that took 9 months to get the windows when they originally had promised them in September. Material shortages, as we all know. Trying to plan. I really envy any of you that can keep your projects on schedule right now, because getting supplies, getting things, I put chips because so many things are running the world on chips, be it computers, your car. Trying to get a car right now. My spouse tried to get a car and she wanted certain things. They're like, nope, 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 nope. That's a certain kind of chip, that's a certain kind of chip. If you drive by an auto dealership, there's probably 17 cars in the lot instead of 300 cars. So that's an issue, obviously, with cost. We've heard about shipping ports, Long Beach, so on, where there's hundreds of ships waiting, sometimes a month or 2 months to unload their cargo. Lack of drivers. There's literally 80 to 100,000 drivers needed for cross-country driving of this materials. Infrastructure limitations. Right now they're talking about dredging the Mississippi River to actually allow larger ships because it's taking so long to get these products to the center of the United States. Super strong consumer demand. You know, people were at home, people, even though they weren't traveling, they weren't going on buying cars, they weren't going on trips. There was a strong consumer demand. In fact, actually, the underestimate, I take that back, on cars, they actually bought more cars than they thought they would. Energy and food prices are way up. Rising wages. If any of you tried to hire people or keep people, those wages are significantly higher now, and they're demanding higher because getting good people, keeping good people is very valuable to your business. And then also, people are very mobile now. They're very willing to switch jobs, where before they would stay in a job for 10, 20, 30 years. And actually, just the actual expectations themselves of inflation. People expect inflation right now. So there's companies that are adding, to their prices that probably could hold the line if they wanted to, but now they feel comfortable doing that because people are expecting inflation at the moment. Where is it going? I actually personally believe it's going to peak in the first half of this year as things start to slow down slightly, and we may end the year at more like 4 to 4.5%, which ideally, again, is at 2 to 2.5%. So we'll still be elevated from where we would like it to be. Again, supply chain relief, it's certainly not happened anywhere as quickly as we'd like it to be, but again, it should be worked out slowly over time. Big problem possibly is the slowing economy. Consumer confidence has been decreasing, business confidence has been decreasing, and consumers are 70% of the economy. Prices hopefully will start moderating. China had a zero tolerance policy in their country where literally no one was working for a while. So as that opens up, hopefully again, there'll be manufacturing product, backlog of inventory lessens, hopefully building costs will level off. I feel like if you are in the industry, you'd know, for instance, at one point lumber went up 400%. Now it's only maybe up 20 to 25% from where it was. So it did get a little bit better. People started doing double and triple shifts to produce it. And inflation for next year should be better again. Still slightly elevated, but not as much as it's been anywhere near where it's been this year. Going forward, I don't want you to be an expert on the Federal Reserve, I just want you to understand what they're trying to do. So the Federal Reserve, they have a mandate. Their mandate is, on the left, to continue to have the economy rolling along, but try to control inflation. So how do they do that? They do it with the money supply and they do it with interest rates. They have a thing called the Fed funds rate, which controls short-term interest rate. Doesn't necessarily affect mortgage rates directly, but over time it does. So they're planning to raise short-term rates. It's 100% certainty they will be doing this year. So he was on the TV today saying they're going to, and of course they're trying to nail him on exactly when they're going to do it and how much they're going to do it, and he's very good at sort of deflecting that. But there's no doubt they will raise short-term rates. My personal opinion is they're going to raise them 4 to 5 times this year. Goldman Sachs just issued a thing. They think they're going to raise them 11 times this year. I don't think that's even possible. That will totally kill the economy, totally slow down the economy to the point we could go into a recession. So I don't believe that's probably accurate, but there will be further increases in next year. So their goal, like a normal rate for them, which their rate right now is 0%. You can borrow from the Fed if you're a bank at 0%. They want to be at around 2.5%. That's their like normal interest rate over history for them to be lending. So they want to raise it to somewhere in that level. The fourth point, this is sort of technical, but they basically issued a ton of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. They had a portfolio of $900 billion. It's 10 times higher right now, which is a huge problem for them. They need to unwind that over time to a more sustainable level of like 3 or 4 billion. So they have to figure out why they're raising interest rates, and they don't want to have as much holding, so they won't be a net buyer of these securities, which is another issue of possibly raising interest rates. So they have to thread the needle between a slowing economy and managing inflation. So this is quite and still keep the economy moving along at the same time. So it's a very interesting time right now to try to figure that out. They did miss the mark on the, quote, transitory inflation. So transitory inflation, they don't want it to become permanent. So let's go on to the next slide. Real estate market, it is booming. Anybody that's in here, Denver, Charlotte, San Diego, I mean, you've seen how much prices have gone up, how much inventory is not available, how there's 5, 6, 10 offers on properties. People are trying to buy them before they even get on the market. They are in the private listing network. They are knocking on doors, putting flyers on people's mailboxes saying, hey, would you like to sell your house? So as an example, San Diego last year, their price appreciation was 26% in 1 year. So you know how expensive San Diego is as a community. So to go up 26% is crazy. Around here, it's still been about 18, 19%, but over a 2-year period, not 1 year. But still, that's a lot for Chicago, which is typically lagged behind. What's happened? Well, people have really fundamentally changed some of their thinking. Not everybody, but a lot of people have been moving from urban settings to the suburbs. They've also had very strong stock portfolios. The stock market has gone up a tremendous amount over the last few years, and they have a feeling of wealth. Now people, when I talk to people about lending, they kind of want peace. They want a sanctuary. They want to get away from the busy day of getting texted and called and emails, and they're looking for a sanctuary and they're willing to pay above market to get that. So they have this extra money in their pocket, they're willing to spend it on real estate, they even understand they're overpaying, but they're okay with it because they're a little bit nervous about it, but they know it's going to be their primary or second home, so they're okay with that. Again, the trend from the cities to the suburbs and also lending across the nation. I've seen this massive migration over the last 10 years to the southeast and the southwest. It used to just be traditionally Florida and Arizona, maybe Southern California. Now it's North and South Carolina, it's Tennessee, it's Colorado, it's Nevada, it's Texas. There's just been a tremendous amount for several reasons. Less taxes, less real estate taxes, perhaps more space, calmer lifestyle. And that's really caused a lack of inventory. So all these buyers, the amount of pre-approvals we've done for people that want to buy a piece of real estate or a house and can't get it is an amazing amount. The gentleman that runs, used to be called Quicken, now it's called Rocket Home Loans. He was on the air the other day saying they've written more pre-approvals in the last 6 months than in the history of the company. There's people looking to want to buy, can't find what they want to buy, multiple offers, cash offers at $1.5 million, $1.8 million, $2 million, just cash. So that's caused an issue, and there's a lack of inventory. Overall prices, again, I said 18 to 20%, but there's certainly much more gains than that in other regions of the country as well. Pricing out locals, causing people to start to hesitate. So if you're sitting in Charlotte and you wanted to buy a house, and you originally had a house that was worth $400,000, and you wanted to buy a house for $700,000, and now you can sell your house for $600,000, $700,000, but that $700,000 house is now $1.4 million. They're like, I just don't feel comfortable having a house that expensive in my area. So it's causing certain local people to say, you know what, I'm really worried that I can't afford to move up, so they may stay put. New construction pricing. I think anybody in this room that deals with new construction realizes how expensive prices have gone up. I've had people, a gentleman in Tennessee, he bought his lot for $900,000. He was going to build a $2.1 million house. The final price of the house, $3.6 million for the house. And he still built it. So he knew he was going to stay there a long time. He wanted the house the way he wanted it. He had the money to do it. But again, there's been other people that I've worked with that said, you know what, I think I'm going to pause for a second because my project that was $1 million is now $1.8 million. My renovation project that was $500,000 is now $1 million. So there are people that are starting to hesitate because of these costs. Rising mortgage rates. Since January 4th, till now we had a little bit of relief lately, unfortunately because of the war in Afghanistan against Russia, but prices, on interest rates are about 1% higher than they were just on January 4th. So in basically less than 2 months, interest rates have moved up 1%, which is kind of quite a bit. If they go up a little bit more, they're roughly, just as a general guide, about 4% right now. There's certainly options less than that, but just use 4% as a guide. If they start going up a little bit more, another 0.5%, 2%, there'll be people that will hesitate on that. So they had mortgages, if you wanted to sell and buy, that maybe they had a 2.5%, 3% mortgage. Now all of a sudden, if they get to 5%, there's a psychological barrier there. And they're like, that's too expensive for me. I'm going to stay put. Or buyers might hesitate. People that have not seen the 1982 thing I mentioned feel like 5%. Oh my God, that's such a high interest rate. That's incredibly, ridiculously high. Well, anybody, let's say, north of 45 or 50 would say that is ridiculous because historically a 4.5%, 5% interest rate is good, but still psychologically wise, people are like, I think I might hesitate. With rising rates, I said sellers may not put their places up for sale because again, they don't want to trade a low interest rate for a higher interest rate. Me personally, I feel that prices will start to flatten out and they may decrease just a little bit, maybe 5 to 10%, but really because there's so many buyers still interested, it's a different market. It's different than 15 years ago. It's not speculative in nature. When I was lending money 20 years ago, people were a cab driver, a hairdresser, whatever, buying property in Florida because they're going to buy and flip it. Their realtor said, if you hold that for 2 or 3 years, you're going to make 25, 30% a year. And I talked to them going, have you ever owned a rental property before? And you're in like Milwaukee, or you're in Chicago. Have you ever even rented property out? No, never. And you're going to do this in Florida. You're going to do it in Arizona. You're going to do it in Nevada. Yes, but my realtor says I'm going to make 30% a year. It's not like that now. Now it's people buying and building primary homes, second homes to live in. So again, prices may flatten out just because wages have not kept up with our price increases in real estate, but still, I think it will slow down, but it won't stop by any means. wages do need to catch up. Wages have been strong. They've been going up 4 to 6%, which is much higher than has been the last 10 years, but they still need to catch up with the appreciation of real estate. So then what you're making and what you're buying is more in a line. Lending, where we are and where are we going? During the pandemic, there were really trillions of dollars were pumped in the economy to keep it from falling off a cliff, and that caused rates to hit all-time lows. Literally, people were borrowing at 2.25%, 2.5%. And it was so funny, people would say, well, you think they're gonna go lower? I'm like, I don't know for sure, but probably not, because they're not gonna go to zero. So low mortgage rates supported this booming housing market that we've had. Hot housing market and rising home values allowed people to refinance their home. They consolidated debt. They took out money to improve their homes. They improved their balance sheets by refinancing because their house was worth more. I talked about the rising interest rates. They've risen in front of what the Fed may do. So a lot of times interest rates are more forward-looking. They're looking at what the Fed's going to do ahead of time, this year, early next year. So they're anticipating those short-term rate increases, which is why mortgages have gone up. Good news, though, for my side, business owners, medical professionals, these programs are actually much less complicated than they have been during the pandemic. During the pandemic, they really got worried about business owners. They got worried about their financial stability, what was going to happen with their businesses, how were they going to survive, and now we've gotten through that. People had a better 2021 through 2022 is looking really good, so lenders have gotten less nervous about this. So what that means is less documentation. We do get their tax returns and things like that, but we're not so much looking at, okay, what's going on every month in 2022. We don't have to look at your business bank statements anymore. We have confidence that your business is doing pretty well. So that's good news. And then for medical professionals and so on, we actually have programs where they're very high loan to values, literally 95%, 100%, but we're banking on their financial stability to stay in the medical profession and make money. So those, and then there's tons of options for renovation, construction projects, many more than there were 10 years ago. So there's a lot of options for people looking to renovate and build their homes, which is nice, and very competitive interest rates, very reasonable fees. So that is not an obstacle for people to build a home. Just real quick thing, because I'm going to try to wrap it up quickly like I promised. Other factors, obviously oil prices have been an issue. As we speak today, they're about $112 a barrel. Now you're like, what does that mean? Well, it was, in the pandemic, it got down to $12 to $15 a barrel for oil. Now, I don't know if my price on my gas pump necessarily reflected that completely, but it really went down. Now we're at very high rates, rates that are, again, from a long time ago. So that causes inflation. And there's just certain certainties. Obviously, what happens in Russia and Ukraine, people are talking about what's going to happen with China and Taiwan. And this is not a political discussion, but they're expressly interested in taking control of Taiwan. So they're looking very closely what's happened in Ukraine to see what the world does to support that country. Whoops. And then what do you do as a business owner? So, hold on, did I go with that? Hold on, whoops. See if I can go backwards.
Yeah, go all the way to the end, yeah. You're going to have to go all the way.
All right, I'm gonna do quickly. I'm gonna wrap this up, hold on. Get to re-see my slides, how exciting. All right. All right, how does this impact your business? So obviously the uncertain supply chain, like I said, and pricing pressures really make it difficult for you to manage your budgets. But I think customers do understand that. If you explain to them what's going on and you're not making additional profit from them, you're just trying to manage your business in the best way you can. And it is very hard to manage deadlines. I mean, anybody that can set a deadline and keep it is an incredibly talented person and has phenomenal connections. As the economy starts to slow, I think you need to do this. So as you're making money last year, this year, you need to put money away. You need to have a rainy day fund for what's going to happen in the future. And it's even including your marketing. I think all of us as business owners will spend money when we're doing well. Suddenly we don't spend money when the economy slows down. And it may slow down in 23 and 24. So put money away. Continue to network. You're doing that today. Think of all the people that you know. Join PowerHouse Smart. I was an original member of this group, and I highly recommend. It's a very inexpensive way to network with an incredible group of people. Wendy is extremely talented at vetting out people that should or should not be in this group. Spend marketing dollars, promote your business. Like I said, have a rainy day fund, and just manage your connections. You know, stay in contact with people that you're interested in hiring. Stay in contact with Wendy. She has, you know, how everybody has like a guy or a girl that does something. Like I got a guy, I got a girl. You gotta contact them. Well, she's that person. She knows everybody in this industry practically. It's unbelievable. If you mention any trade, anything you need, she has somebody for you, and somebody that she's known for a while that she can connect you with. So definitely make those connections and keep those connections with future hires, because if people leave your company and it's a key person, you can't keep them. You need to get them replaced with somebody very talented very quickly, because it can impact your business. So that is my presentation. I don't know if anybody wants to ask me a quick question. I want to keep us on schedule. How are we doing?
I think we're okay, but can they ask you questions later?
You can also ask me questions, come up during the Power Connect lunch, sure, you know, all through the day. And you can always email me or call me. I have business cards with me. My email is very simple. It's brian@rate.com. So if you remember rate and you remember Brian, as long as you don't transpose those two, you'll be just fine. So again, I'm Brian Jessen, Guaranteed Rate. Thank you.